Howdy, everybody. This is Empennage Fairings video number 6. So I'm messing with the vertical stabilizer empennage fairing, that very top piece on there. And it's pretty easy. It's a simple one to start with. Um, I did add some metal backing for those rivets. I just didn't feel comfortable with just the fiberglass. It just not felt like it would come off. So I put some metal backing on them, metal backing on the actual fiberglass piece, just so when the rivets, clamp on there, they have something to clamp to. But that's pretty much this whole video is that one little piece. And I do actually do a lot of fiberglass and sanding and fiberglass and sanding towards the end of this, but it looks really cool and you'll get to see some images of that. But while you watch me drill some holes, I do have a joke. Why do people with foot fetishes never win? Because they like the taste of defeat. That one's dumb and gross all at the same time. Oh, kills me. So as you can see, I don't know if you saw there, but the back is attached to that fairing. That was in the previous video where I attached the back part of that. And it does go back, it goes down lower in there, so it actually will have a finished edge on the bottom part there. So you don't, I guess so it fits and looks good. So it does look really good. Then I just rivet that thing on there with, I think they're LP4-3s or something like that. I forget the rivets that it's called out for, but whatever they are, that's what I rivet them on there with. So we've had issues with GoPro, so you haven't seen a whole lot of me working on the vertical stabilizer fairing. But what I did do is fill this part in. I was watching Stu's Airplane Factory. I forget what it's called, but I'll post it on the video here. But he has a real nice video on how to fill these things in so they look real nice when you get them painted. And I figured I could start with the vertical stabilizer because this is so tall that if it really is crappy, nobody's going to be able to see it. So it would be okay. But it's actually turning out pretty well. So once I get a new camera, which I ordered, which should be here this week sometime, I'll get some nice pictures of this all filled in and pretty. So it is rather pretty. You'll see some pictures here real quick. So that's from the front. So it is lined up rather nicely. It looks really good. This one is kind of from the right side looking at that, and then this is from the left side, and you can see where I filled in there and then sanded it down so it's all nice and pretty. And there's my nephew, and then there's another picture from kind of the right side top, and then here's from the back, so you can kind of see what that looks like. It looks really good. I was shocked. It did take 3 days worth of work. I'm not gonna lie, so it did take 2 or 3 hours each day, because you have to put the epoxy and the fiberglass stuff, and then you have to let it dry completely for like 24 hours, and then go sand stuff, and then fill it in again and make sure all the holes are kind of filled in, and you use the little glass beads to do that. So it did take some time. You could see me right there. I was using a ruler to see how level it was, and then some even finger sanding just to get it close. And getting back in that corner and getting that corner to not have gooped up stuff was some work. But yeah, it turned out really, really well. I was really pleased with it. So that was, I think, the second standing that or the second filling in of that particular part of the plane, and I think there's one more coming. And then I use a flashlight to make sure I get all of the places and spots that I need to get. And just keep whittling it down until, you get to the point. And there's cleaning it off a little bit, and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to do a little bit more. And so this will be, I think, the third coating of epoxy and glass beads, or epoxy with glass beads. Not the third time with glass beads, but this is the third time with epoxy. Filling in the last little holes and bits of stuff there. And then you can see me kind of doing the top of the actual fairing itself. I've put a little bit on there, and you'll see me put a little bit more on there. And the reason why is because of this right here. I'll show you. When they do them, the ridge on all of your fairings, now obviously this is one of your elevator fairings, but all of the fairings are the same. They're not completely put together 100% aligned. And so you do have to sand them down. And to find the center line, sometimes it's easier just to build up a little bit instead of sand all the way down on one side, because it does get kind of thin when you do a whole bunch of sanding on those things. So I sanded a little bit, and then I was like, okay, I'm not sure I'm comfortable going much further, because you started to be able to see through it. And so that's me kind of just feeling in the part and making it a little bit thicker on the top there, just so it was all lined up and looked good. And then this is me just sanding that stuff down. You'll see me sand that whole kind of area and make sure it's all nice and rounded and pretty and gorgeous and all of that good stuff. And then not a whole bunch else. You did see me put a bunch of tape on that bottom part while I was filling it in, and that worked well, except a little bit of epoxy did seep through. So when I do go to paint the plane, I am going to have to sand that area a little bit more than just scuffing up the aluminum. But it wasn't bad, a little bit here and there, so nothing, that I would warn you off of doing. But the tape wasn't perfect, and so I probably should have spent a little bit more time with that. But after 3 days of working on it and not doing fiberglass a whole lot, I am extremely pleased with how it turned out. It looks really, really good, and I do end up painting them with the primer rattle can that I have, the self-etching primer. You probably don't have to use self-etching primer on the fiberglass. Oh, here's the fourth time. Look at that. That's amazing. Yeah, it takes a long time. I don't know if you know that, to do fiberglass to get it to come out right. So that was my last little bit. So it took a while, but I got it done. And once that's dry, I don't know if you can see that there. It's kind of a little bit wet, but it's filled in and nice and flat. One little sanding left to go, and that guy will be perfectly flat. And then I'll tape it off so I can put some primer on it just to protect it. And then that guy can go up into storage. So that is good. But I wanted to try that. I saw that on Stu's Aircraft Factory. I think that's the name of it. I'll include a link here. But he had finished those things. And I figure the vertical stabilizer is up tall enough that nobody's going to see it. So I wanted to practice on the one that nobody's going to see. And it worked out pretty well. And it does look really nice. So I'm going to do that to the rest of the elevators and the open parts on the flaps and the ailerons. But it looks really good. It's coming together. You see? Vertical stabilizer. And let me turn it around. Vertical stabilizer. once that's dry and sanded one last time, we'll be done. Done, done, done. And then I have to start working on the elevators for the laser cut replacement parts, because I have elevators that are done way up there at the top, and then here's the new ones, so all the replacement parts. So, but I'll get on that and we'll get busy. See ya. Bye.